This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
.45, this is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by Lal Malavarachi, read by Soundithavam. The President reveals plans to elevate the Arugambe into a high-income tourist hub. The Central Bank to issue directives to banks to reduce lending rates. The government has allocated another 250 million rupees to the Paddy Marketing Board to purchase paddy. The Randoli Parahara of the Kandy Asala Festival will begin today. The cremation of the Venerable Nadagamwe Vijaya Maitri Thera will be held tomorrow. In foreign news, officials release list of 388 people still missing in Maui wildfires. And in sports, the third and final ODI between Afghanistan and Pakistan will be played today. President Ranil Wickremesinghe has announced the swift implementation of a comprehensive plan to elevate the Arugambe tourist zone into a highly desirable destination for both local and international tourists with the potential to generate substantial revenue. The President emphasized the importance of meticulous planning in identifying areas that associate development with the intention of executing these initiatives systematically. The President further highlighted the prospect of achieving significant income by promoting water sports, such as water skiing, which holds popularity along the Arugambe coastline. President Ranil Wickremesinghe conveyed these remarks during a meeting held yesterday with key stakeholders in the tourism industry within the Ampara district. The gathering brought together government officials and industry professionals aimed at addressing pertinent challenges that have emerged within the tourism sector. The President underscored that global reports predict tourism to contribute 10% of the global gross domestic product by the year 2035. He stressed that Sri Lanka should proactively prepare for this shift and highlighted the tourism sector's potential to directly address the nation's financial challenges. Sri Lanka's private sector credit growth has been on the decline due to the expectations of market interest rates falling, Central Bank Governor Nandalal Veerasinghe said. Despite reduction in the central bank's key policy rates and this month's Commercial Bank Statutory Reserve Ratio (SRR), the private sector credit growth has still been on the decline. The last available official data showed the year-on-year private sector credit growth contracted 8% in June, following a 9.5% contraction in the previous month. The central bank held the key policy rates steady while announcing some reduction for the rate on pawning facilities, pre-arranged temporary overdrafts, credit cards and penal interest rates to push the market interest rates down. The government has allocated another 250 million rupees to the Paddy Marketing Board to purchase paddy. Chairman Buddhika Iddamalgoda said the stocks of paddy were purchased from 11 districts. Accordingly, 39 warehouses will remain open for farmers to sell their paddy stocks. Earlier, the government allocated 250 million rupees to purchase paddy from farmers. According to the Paddy Marketing Board, around 2.7 million metric tons of paddy has been purchased under the program thus far. Due to the current dry weather conditions, 42 water sources in Sri Lanka are at risk, and due to this, 9% of water capacity has to be reduced. Therefore, in view of the current situation, the Water Board requests the people not to use drinking water for other purposes and to use water sparingly. The Water Supply and Drainage Board said that there are 344 water supply projects and 267 water sources. They mentioned that 42 sources from those are at risk and said that 54,580 water connections are at risk. Many water sources are at risk in Hambantota and the Kurunegala districts. The board revealed that the water sources in the districts of Bandaravela, Monaragala, Kandy, Ampara, Anuradhapura, Matara, Ratnapura and Kalutara are also at risk. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The Randoli Parahara of the Kandy Asala Festival will begin today. Departing from the Temple of the Tooth in the south direction, At 7:26 p.m., the Perahera will travel along Dalada Street, D.S. Senanayaka Street, Temple Road, Devala Street, Colombo Street, E.L. Senanayaka Street, Cross Street, D.S. Senanayaka Street, and go up Rajavidya. The Diyavadna Nilame, Pradeep Nilanka Dalla, said that the second Randoli Perahera will leave from the Temple of the Tooth tomorrow at 6:46 p.m. and travel along Dalada Street, D.S. Senanayaka Street, Colombo Street, Yatinura Street, and Upper Rajavidya. The Randoli Perahera will parade the streets for 5 consecutive days up to the 30th of this month. Meanwhile, the Railways Department said that 4 special trains have been deployed for the convenience of those visiting Kandy for the Kandy Asala festival. Special train service will operate from today to the 30th. Trains have been deployed from the Colombo Fort to Kandy and back to Colombo Fort. The cremation of the late Anunayak of the Ramanya Mahanikaya and head of the Pathaduwana Bhikkhu Training Centre in Minuwangoda, Venerable Nadagamwe Vijaya Maitritera, will be held tomorrow afternoon at 2 p.m. The Venerable Nadagamwe Vijaya Maitritera was 73 years old when he passed away. Arrangements have been made to carry the cremation after the remains of the Anunayaka Thera is taken in a grand procession from the Minuwangoda Pathaduwana Buddhist Centre to the Japalawata Sports Ground. That concludes local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Power generation will be in a crisis unless it rains sufficiently by the beginning of October, an official said. The Ceylon Electricity Board chairman Rohan Sanivaratna told the Daily Mirror that the hydroelectricity generation capacity dropped to 15% of the national requirement since the water level at the reservoirs had dropped drastically due to the current dry spell. The CEB depends on thermal power for 65% of the requirement, and the generation cost has shot up from 800 million rupees to 1,200 million rupees as a result, and came to you in the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Watch Life is brought to you by
CIB Janajaya Vasana. Unbelievable discounts and offers throughout August from CIB Janajaya Vasana. Come today itself.
2 days of leave have been granted for those teachers and principals who are involved in the GC ordinary level paper marking process. Accordingly, the 28th and 29th of August will be given as leave as per a decision made by the Ministry of Education, and came to you in Watchlight.
CIB Janajaya Vasana. Unbelievable discounts and offers throughout August from CIB Janajaya Vasana. Come today itself.
Moving on to a bulletin of world news making headlines this morning. Officials release list of 388 people still missing in Maui wildfires. Bodies and flight recorders recovered at Wagner boss Prigozhin's jet crash site. And the British Museum director quits over stolen treasures. Authorities in Hawaii have released the names of 388 people who remain unaccounted for 2 weeks after the devastating wildfires in Maui. Officials want any survivors on the list to come forward so the number of missing people can be reduced. Search teams are still combing through the charred remains of the historic town of Lahaina and other areas. The official death toll from the fire stands at 115. Russia says 10 bodies and flight recorders have been recovered from the scene of a jet crash presumed to have killed Wagner chief Yevgeny Prigozhin. Molecular genetic tests are now being carried out, investigators say. The plane crashed near Moscow on Wednesday, prompting speculation that a bomb or a missile was to blame. Claims that the Kremlin gave an order to kill Prigozhin were a complete lie, Russian President Vladimir Putin's spokesman told the BBC Centre. Vladimir Putin has broken his silence over Yevgeny Prigozhin's reported death some 24 hours after the Wagner chief's private jet crashed. Russia's president said the head of the mercenary group was a talented person who made serious mistakes in life. Mr. Putin also sent condolences to the family of all 10 people said to be on board that plane that went down northwest of Moscow on Wednesday evening. However, he stopped short of explicitly confirming Prigozhin's death. And back to the headlines of the world news. Officials release list of 388 people still missing in Maui wildfires. Bodies and flight recorders recovered at Wagner boss Prigozhin's jet crash site. The British Museum director quits over stolen treasures. With that, we conclude this bulletin of world news.
Development News is brought to you by
Job opportunities for well-experienced housemaids and home cooks in Saudi Arabia and Kuwait for ages 40 to 58 years. Salary 125,000 rupees. Contact 037 7500 500.
The Education Minister Dr. Susil Premajanta says that the Cabinet proposal and the concept paper to merge all 19 national colleges of education and turn them into a university will be forwarded to the Cabinet. The Minister said that assistant lecturers will be recruited as graduates with a second upper class, and steps to be taken in this regard have been discussed with the University Grants Commission and trade unions. The Minister said that recruitments are being made to colleges under the merit and district basis, and 7,500 have been recruited and teacher training has been provided in the past. That came to you in Development News.
Job opportunities for women from Deshakti Lanka in Saudi Arabia, Kuwait and Oman. Housemaids and home cooks in Saudi Arabia, ages 40 to 58 years. Arabic speaking and well-experienced home cooks. Salary 125,000 rupees. Interviews are now on with foreign agents. You can travel overseas free of charge now. Branches Colombo, Kurunegala, Anuradhapura and Matara. Contact number 0377 500 500. Deshakti Lanka Foreign Employment Agency.
Moving on to sports news, the third and final ODI between Afghanistan and Pakistan will be played today at the R. Premadasa International Cricket Stadium in Colombo. Pakistan leads the series 2-0. That came to you in sports news. We take a look at business news next.
Go ekathiyana youth ekata life eke change ekata niyamata setna aswahagena dakapuhina habe karanna youth ekata niyamata setna friendship ekamenna.
The all-new NSB Ithru account, NSB IAM, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
The Sri Lankan rupee marginally depreciated against the US dollar. According to the exchange rates issued by the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, the buying rate of the US dollar was 317 rupees and 80 cents, while the selling rate was at 329 rupees and 63 cents. The indicative exchange rate announced by the Central Bank is 324 rupees and 5 cents, while it was as high as 362 rupees and 66 cents on the 24th of February. That's business news.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekathiyana youth ekata life eke change ekata niyamata setna aswahagena dakapuhina habe karanna youth ekata niyamata setna friendship ekamenna.
The all-new NSB Ithru account, NSB IAM, a plan for your dream.
On to economic news, the People's Bank has embarked on a mission to transform the way government manages payments. Leveraging its expertise in financial technology, the bank has joined forces with government entities to establish fast, secure and user-friendly payment acceptance systems. These solutions allow citizens to conveniently pay taxes, fines, fees and other payments using multiple payment methods such as credit, debit cards via point-of-sale machines or internet payment gateways. The collaborative effort between the People's Bank and the government entities has resulted in increased revenue collections and more efficient fund management for those institutions, and came to you in economic news.
Weather report.
And taking a look at the weather report, a few showers will occur in the western and Sabragama provinces and in the Gaul and Matara districts. Showers or thundershowers may occur at a few places in the Uva province and in the Ampara, Batikla and Polonnaruwa districts during the evening or night. Mainly fair weather will prevail elsewhere over the island. To conclude this bulletin of news, a recap of the headlines. The President reveals plans to elevate the Arugam Bay into a high-income tourist hub. The Central Bank to issue directives to banks to reduce lending rates. The government has allocated another 250 million rupees to the Paddy Marketing Board to purchase paddy. The Randoli Parahara of the Kandy Essala Festival will begin today. The cremation of the Venerable Nadagamwe Vijaya Maitri Thera will be held tomorrow. In foreign news, officials release list of 388 people still missing in Maui wildfires. And the third and final ODI between Afghanistan and Pakistan will be played today. With that, we conclude this morning's news broadcast.